Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Rodgers drama, and all of that, controversy surrounding the Packers' decision at the end to, not go for it, kick the field goal, and that came back to bite them. A wild NFC Championship game, an interesting, post-game interview from Aaron Rodgers. You wonder, will this just blow over, or will there be, a little bit of a stalemate between Rodgers and the Packers? We don't know, but we're going to talk about it and make our best guess.
Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned what's going on, and just in case you've been living under this microphone for a few days, first of all, you're free now, but second of all, in the past game against the Buccaneers, no one under there? Okay,
No,
we're good.
okay.
There was a decision for the Packers to go forward on 4th and goal. They decided to kick a field goal. They were down by 8. That field goal put them down by 5, and then they turned the ball over to Tom Brady and the Bucs, who were able to run the clock down. So a very controversial decision, having Aaron Rodgers at your quarterback. He's the best red zone quarterback in the league this year, and he has been for a long time. He is going to win the MVP this year. So it is definitely a questionable decision to not let him have his shot. And then after the game, Aaron Rodgers said this. Now, if you listen to the quote, the way he sounded didn't sound evil. It sounded more in a mellow way. But still, here is the quote. He said, there's a lot of guys' futures that are uncertain, myself included, was the exact quote from Aaron Rodgers. So there's a lot of questioning going on around the league right now. Does he really mean this quote? Is he just upset? So we're here to break down all this drama, as Ryan put it, for you here on the Touchdown Table today.
Well, personally, I don't think there's much drama to be involved with it. I know Aaron Rodgers is saying his future is uncertain, but his future was really uncertain ever since they drafted Jordan Love. And now we're just going to talk about it more because of what Aaron Rodgers said. And I'm sure full well he knows anything he said is going to be put into a huge light. So he knows him saying this is going to get talked about. But, I mean, honestly, he's right. His future, he doesn't know what's going to happen because they drafted a quarterback to eventually replace him. He still feels like he's the best Aaron Rodgers he's ever been. And really, quite frankly, he has been. He's going to win the MVP, as Jordan said. But who knows what this front office is planning? It could be a plan to get rid of Rodgers and put in Jordan Love, although I haven't heard anything about him.
I mean, that dude hasn't been dressed all season. So
Yeah, he might be a free agent before he gets a chance to start. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, but who knows what the plan? It's uncertain, and Aaron Rodgers is right. To me, I think this is just him saying that and us, doing what we do, and with the media and trying to overreact on it and get some views on the video and see what happens. But personally, I don't think it's a big deal. Maybe we'll see Aaron be pushed out eventually. I think he's still got at least one more year here before they try that Jordan Love experiment, I guess. But it's just, I think Aaron Rodgers is safe. He's had one of his best years in his career. I don't see why they would want to get rid of him now, and I don't see why Aaron would want. Actually, I do understand why he'd leave, but we'll get into that later.
And before we go into this controversy over whether he'll leave or not, and I do feel like we all have the same opinion, although we haven't actually talked about it before. I want to go into the 4th down call when they decided to kick it. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on what the Packers did and why it was wrong.
well, I'll just say it was wrong. I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers. You're playing against Tom Brady. It's the 4th quarter. Like, yes, you have the 2-minute warning and 3 timeouts, but you're right there. Like, who says you're going to be able to get that close again? And even if you do, you'd probably have to, burn all your timeouts just to get a stop. And I know you have Aaron Rodgers, but exactly, you have Aaron Rodgers. Go punch it in right there. You're right there. I think that it's the NFC Championship. It's the 4th quarter. Like, this is where legends are made. This is where, historic moments happen. Those moments right there, they passed it up. And even if they say they went for it on 4th down and, they didn't get it, it's still 31-23, one-score game. Then they still have those 3 timeouts.
They still need a touchdown, too.
And they still do need a touchdown.
And a
But then Tampa Bay has very poor field position. And then if you get a stop, then you could be looking at maybe only a 60, 65-yard field. And with Aaron Rodgers, that's one throw. So I think it's wrong. I think that when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's just done so much throughout his career, one of the best to ever do it, and especially at home, it just seems like it was a vintage moment potentially waiting to happen, and you didn't even give it a shot. I mean, I know they had the plays before that, and I do think Rodgers could have and should have ran it in on 3rd down, I think it was, or at least gotten a lot closer to the goal line. But if you're Matt LaFleur, I'm sure he's losing sleep over that call, or at least how it turned out.
Yeah, when it initially happened, I was like, okay, this might not be a terrible call. Like, I understand the logic of it. But now looking back on it, like, their defense had been playing good down the stretch. But in this game, they were not playing their best game. Tom Brady was tearing them up,
He
and
got 3
specifically
interceptions in the second half.
Oh, absolutely, but a lot of those were bad throws from Tom Brady, and
Yeah.
Kevin King was being picked on a lot in that game, so their defense was not playing great in themselves. Of course, they did get the 3 picks, as Tyler said, but a lot of those were just not very good throws from Tom Brady down the stretch at the end of the game. So looking at that aspect of it, their defense was not playing well, and Tom Brady, he can easily pick up 10 yards many times in a row in a clutch situation, because he's not only been in the playoffs before, but he's been in so many clutch situations before, so that's nothing for him. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. But also, one more thing I thought is interesting to bring up and mention. Actually, my dad, who is actually sitting here watching this, hello, Father. Earlier in the game, the Packers decided to go for 2, and Equanimeous St. Brown, he dropped the ball. And so that obviously was a 1-point or 2-point swing when they could have just kicked a field goal and got 1 point. So then at that point, they're at 4th. Let's just say they kicked the extra point, even though St. Brown should have caught the ball. Let's just say they kicked that extra point. It's 4th and goal. All they need is a touchdown and a field goal, or an extra point. Do you think that changes the decision at all?
Well, you still need the touchdown either way,
Yeah.
and they felt that, they assumed that they were going to be able to stop Tom Brady. And, even if, the defense played better in the second half, you just got to understand where you are and say, this is a moment where we have control. We control our own destiny right here. When you do that, why not try and punch it in? Because as soon as you kick that field goal,
Absolutely, I agree
there's a
with you.
bunch. I just don't think, that.
Do you think that if they were in that situation, do you think Matt LaFleur's mind would have been changed? Not yours, Matt LaFleur's mind.
No,
That's what
because
I'm
I think
asking.
he would have had the same mentality. We need a touchdown, but, we'll get that later.
I think regardless right now, knowing it didn't work, it's easy to say that this was a terrible call by Matt LaFleur. But as you said, Jordan, there was some sense behind it. That being said, I would not have done it. You have Aaron Rodgers. I'm going for it on 4th and 8. 4th and goal at the 8. I when I was watching it, I was just, my mouth was open, and I was like, I guess I get it, but it was just not the right thing.
To be
against
fair,
Tom
though,
Brady.
it almost did kind of work.
It was close.
Well,
But then
kind
the
of,
penalty
but
at the
then-
end of the game.
But then you still, even if that penalty isn't called, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second, if that's not called, you still got to, march down the field, 90 seconds left, no, timeout to score a touchdown. That's still a whole nother part of the battle. And I know you have Aaron Rodgers, and I know that would have been very
I wouldn't be
possible.
too nervous about that.
Yeah, but,
Because I do feel like in that game, the secondary was weak. Both starting safeties were down. They could have beat them deep in the secondary. The linebackers in the front were playing phenomenal in that game. That's why I think they ultimately won that game at the end of the day. But I do feel like Aaron Rodgers, being Aaron Rodgers, can manipulate any defense in that amount of time frame, let alone a kind of beat down a little bit secondary of the Bucs, even though they still are a good secondary. That's not the problem with me. I'd have complete faith in Rodgers in doing that. But just it comes down to is our defense able to get a stop? And like we said, it was close. There was the shirt tug.
Yeah.
And there's no denying it was a penalty, but there's also no denying they missed a couple other holding calls earlier in the game as well. We won't get into that now because if you want to hear more about that, I'm sure we'll talk about it in our podcast. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts, I believe. It comes out on the same day that this video does, on Wednesday. I don't know the date, the 28th. 27th. Thank you. So go check that out if you want to hear more about that and about this whole Packers thing. But back to Aaron Rodgers, the decision whether or not he wants to stay with their team or not. I think we're all pretty confident that he wants to stay on the team. There are talks about maybe he'll go to the 49ers or something because he grew up, I think he grew up a 49ers fan, but I know he grew up in California for sure. So there are talks about that. But I just feel like one thing that I actually just found right before we were making this video is a quote from Joe Thomas. He was a former offensive lineman, and I'll just read off a bit of it because it is a long thing that he said, but he tweeted this out. He said, RELAX Packers fans, Aaron Rodgers knows the at Packers aren't stupid enough to move on from the best player in the NFL, who's shown no signs of decline and is under contract. This is him just taking a little shot at the GM who drafted a QB in the first round last year. And I think that's kind of how all of us sitting at the table here today and most people around the league are thinking. I don't think there's really a huge obvious thing in my mind that says this guy wants to leave the team. I just think he's frustrated because, heck, I would be extremely frustrated. You lost an NFC Championship game, but also you lost an NFC Championship game in that way where Aaron Rodgers wanted that shot. He did not get it. Of course that's frustrating. So I just think that, I think Tyler said it before, the frustrating things are coming out of his mouth. He doesn't want to take a bit of a shot in a moment of weakness there, and I don't think there's any real sign of him wanting to leave the team. He's been a Packers faithful person for a long time. He loves Green Bay. Green Bay is an awesome place. Even as a Bears fan, their fans are amazing. That stadium is awesome to go to. I was fortunate enough to go to a game there. It was phenomenal. So I don't see any signs of him leaving.
That alone, you're talking about that fourth down play. That should not be anything close to making Aaron Rodgers want to leave
Yeah, that's
Green
a
Bay,
stretch.
especially because, like you said, Jordan, they have such good fans there, and Green Bay is such a nice town to be
What
in.
a neat town.
And Aaron
Really,
Rodgers,
it is.
Aaron Rodgers has talked about it countless times, saying that he loves Green Bay, he loves living there. So one play call is not going to be the difference between that. I think what could be the difference, though, is if you take Aaron Rodgers off this team and look at the roster around him, they really have not built around Aaron Rodgers at all. Let's take a look at the other team that the Packers are playing, the Buccaneers. They got Tom Brady, and you know what they did? They realized we have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We need to build around him and take advantage of it. They got guys. They drafted well again, and they've got Gronk back and re-signed some players and got Antonio Brown. You got to build around these good players. I mean, it's not like these quarterbacks can carry these teams like this. If Aaron Rodgers isn't there, the Packers might have won 5 games this year.
Honestly.
And, I mean, that's just how good he has been. I know they got Devontae Adams, but they had chances to go out and get free agent wide receivers. They had a chance to draft a wide receiver, yet they drafted another quarterback. They drafted A.J. Dillon, which might end up being good for the future, but, maybe... I mean, you got to get Aaron Rodgers.
I hated
more
A.J.
weapons.
Dillon when they first did it, but now I'm realizing I think both running backs their contract is about to end, and I think A.J. Dillon is going to be the running back of the future in Green Bay. That's just how I see it. Sorry to butt in, but I just thought that was a necessary thing to say. But of course, the Jordan Love move, absolutely questionable. And so maybe if they drafted a wide receiver, the game could have gone differently. I'm not saying that just because one person would have changed the whole game, but also it might have. And so that's something that's in the past for them. They're trying not to think about it, but it's got to be something that's on the mind of Matt LaFleur and all that drafting staff that went into making that move.
I got 2 more things to say, and then
Okay.
I'll be quiet for the rest of this video.
Well, I mean, you have to do the outro, so
Yeah.
I'll relinquish that
Okay.
for you.
First off, this video comes out on Wednesday. I'm not sure. Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday, usually, and
Is he going to be
it's
in
so
the
clear
interviews?
thing.
Is he
So
gonna be in the
I
mood?
don't know if he is. They didn't even know I watched the Pat McAfee show today, and they said they weren't sure about it. So that was just one thing I was going to note, and then I'll note the other thing later on.
He'll be on there.
Well, okay.
We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something we won't be able to talk about because we're pre-recording.
And maybe he'll
So-
say something on the show that just completely disregards this whole video. Well,
Yeah.
then, I mean,
Maybe by the time this comes out, even maybe it's really died down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still worth talking about nonetheless.
no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to say that, like, with the Packers, I don't think Aaron Rodgers' frustration is really with the fact that they drafted a quarterback for the future, because every organization has to be realistic.
This
and
early.
plan, but one that early, and when they could have gotten, a really good skill player. Like, they were really good all year. Imagine them with also a Justin Jefferson, or I don't know who would have been there, Higgins or
T.
Claypool
Higgins,
or
Ayuk,
something like
I
that.
think.
Ayuk,
When were the 49ers?
I don't know,
They
because
They traded it up
Yeah.
in front of the Packers, I
They
think.
did?
okay. Well, the
Well,
point.
the Packers traded up for Love, right?
They both, traded
Yes,
it.
but the point still stands. Just imagine that offense, where it's not just the defense knowing that, okay, Devontae Adams is the number one guy. If they, were able to, distract the defense a little more to where the number one corner isn't always on solely Devontae Adams, and they know that's the go-to guy, particularly at the goal line. I think that's what came back to haunt him a lot, because the defense knew darn well that Devontae Adams was going to be the go-to guy. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm not so much frustrated about the idea of drafting Jordan Love. Just one, how high he was drafted, and the other players that they could have taken at that spot. If I'm him, I understand that you have to plan for the future, and that's realistic. But I think even when they drafted Jordan Love, they still knew Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback for this year, barring something very unexpected. And I know we all think that right now this is basically nothing, but let's just say we all thought the Deshaun Watson stuff was basically nothing, and now it's basically something. So again, Packers fans, I don't think you really have anything to worry about, but I didn't think I had anything to worry about as a Texans fan, and I do. But, just kind of saying how things can change, and just got to
For
monitor
sure.
the situation.
Well, if you're a Packers fan, the only thing you got to worry about is your team just lost another NFC Championship, which I'm sorry for you because I wanted your team to win. So.
Yeah, and what Ryan was saying went into the last thing I wanted to say, but
Oh yeah,
I
I forgot. You have one more thing to
I
say.
got one more little
Yeah.
point here, and it's not so much about Aaron Rodgers. It's It's about this front office. I mean,
Fire Matt LaFleur.
no, it's not. No.
No.
He's gone to the NFC Championship 2 years in a row now.
Aaron Rodgers has.
Well, they both have. So,
Aaron
but
Rodgers
let me get
has.
into what I was going to say here because
Let him go.
they've gotten into 2 NFC Championships in a row and haven't got any further. Why do they expect to get any further if they don't make any changes to their team? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure they signed some people and smaller things happen, but you got to get over that hump of the NFC Championship game, and it's tough to do that. And that's got to be frustrating if you're Aaron Rodgers, knowing you have some cap space to go out and do that, and you have the draft capital to go out and do that. I don't know why you expect much different if you really have that same team. I know Rodgers is playing better, but I mean, it's just kind of fitting of, they didn't change anything, and they ended out in the exact same spot they were last year, 13-3 and a loss in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, and one quick thing I do want to say with the Packers, last April in the draft, they had a 13-3 team coming off of a loss in the NFC Championship game. With their first-round pick, they didn't do anything to make that team that was that close to winning it all, that close to getting to the Super Bowl. They did nothing in the first round to make that team better right now. If you're, 9-7, 10-6 first-round exit, then maybe, but you were that close, and your first-round pick does nothing whatsoever to help you when your Super Bowl window was clearly wide open. And, you just wonder, could one player have made a difference in this game or, in any way? Would a Justin Jefferson or a Chase Claypool or an Ayuk or a Higgins or any skill player ever? They didn't even draft a receiver in the whole draft in one of the deepest wide receiver classes in, recent memory. I mean, it just doesn't quite add up. And I think that's your point. Like, what is the front office doing? And, Aaron Rodgers, he has a right to be upset, but I don't know. Maybe he'll be tweeting about anger levels too, but we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's reason to be frustrated, and just to wrap this thing up, we understand why Aaron Rodgers would be angry because he's coming off 2 NFC Championship losses in a row. We personally don't think he's going to be going anywhere, but we want to make this video to talk about this whole situation that's going on. So regardless if the air is cleared with Aaron Rodgers by the time it comes out, it's still an interesting watch to watch this and see what's happening because this could be the cause of change with the Packers. They have not made many big moves except getting the Smith brothers in years with that organization. So it's time for some change. That change should not be getting rid of Aaron Rodgers, and we don't think that's going to happen here at the table. So thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like the video. What?
That wasn't done.
Oh, you're not done?
Ryan was saying that it wasn't adding up. I did the numbers. It equals -99. So, yeah.
That's what you needed to say?
Yeah. I mean, is there a problem with that?
It's a perfect way to wrap
Is that
up
a
a video.
problem?
Really.
It's a perfect Jordan way to wrap up a
Yeah,
video.
I was
am
just
right?
thinking that.
Yeah. All right, so make sure to like this
Right,
video,
Ryan?
subscribe to our channel,
Exactly right.
hit the notification bell, comment your opinions about this whole debacle down below. Go check out our podcast. We'll talk about this situation more. And our Instagram, we'll post about the Super Bowl. We posted about all the playoff games. And there'll be more additional content there for you as well. So check all that out. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.